Welcome, everybody. So happy to see you. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Reverend Angie Apt, if for anybody who doesn't know me. And I just want to ask, first of all, I forgot to ask this last time. If you have your cell phone on, make sure you turn your cell phone off. I just made sure I did the same. And is there anybody that's here for the first time? Wow. Okay, lots of people. Okay, welcome. Okay, so I just want to read something to you. So while spiritualism has been around for centuries, modern spiritualism began in 1848 in a small town in New York State. Spiritualism believes that life continues after the physical change called death, and that God is a loving God who wants only our greatest good. We are spiritual beings having an earthly experience as we learn lessons for our individual growth. Spiritualism firmly believes that change for the better is always open to each of us, and that the ultimate expression of love is loving thy neighbor as thyself. So one of the things that we love about bringing everyone together is you get to meet new people. So take a minute and turn to somebody on either side of you or behind you and just say hi. Introduce yourself. Yeah. People are going across the aisle. Okay. See, isn't that awesome? You get to meet new people, right? Or see people you haven't seen in a while. So I'm going to start with prayer. Infinite Spirit, we welcome your very presence here this evening as we all come together to share love and peace. Amen. Okay, I'm now going to call Reverend Irina. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Michaeline up, and Michaeline's going to do a reading. This is Reverend Michaeline Clevenger.
Hi, everybody. So March is Women's Month. So this is for the men also, but I'm going to use the she because it's Women's Month, to dedicate it to all my courageous women friends. People are often unreasonable and self-centered. She forgave them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of ulterior motives. She was kind anyway. If you're honest, people may cheat you. She was honest anyway. If you find happiness, people may be jealous. She was happy anyway. The good you do today may be forgotten tomorrow. She did good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. She gave her best anyway. For you see, in the end, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. That was beautiful. I'd now like to call Reverend Irene Lavin up, and Irene's going to guide us in meditation.
Hello to each of you. So make yourself comfortable. You might want to take anything off your lap, so that you're feeling relaxed. And I encourage you to sit with your eyes closed and just to start physically relaxing yourself, right? And this is a brief meditation. There'll be a period of silence in it where it'll be just between you and the divine creator, and then we'll come back and go into healing, sending out healing. So, so we take this time, and we create this space together and individually for ourselves, one with the other, to be at peace, to let go of thoughts of the day. We breathe in and we breathe them out. We just let them go. Let them go. Let them go. And at your own pace, take another deep breath in, slowly filling up, feeling white light beginning to fill your being. And with the exhale, just letting go again of anything that does not serve you. You let it go. You let it go. And you feel your shoulders relaxing. You feel your arms, your hands relaxing, your entire legs. And bit by bit, you're surrendering to this time, this place, and welcoming the energy of the divine into your being, into this space. You feel encouraged by it. You feel welcomed by it. And you definitely feel loved by it. It surrounds you and infills your being. As you let go, as you let God, and you enter the silence and let your thoughts drift away. Let them go as you surrender. And in this space of oneness, you feel loved. You feel your heart growing. You feel your purpose filling your being. As you rest in this divine energy, this safe space of oneness. And slowly, ever so slowly, we start to come back, but bring the light of this space, the energy of this space, the love of this space with us. And I ask you to continue to close your eyes and invite you to bring this beautiful white light and energy into your heart space. Breathe into your heart and feel that energy growing stronger and more beautiful. Now imagine someone in your life who could use some of this healing energy. Imagine that they are standing before you now, and you are sending this beautiful energy from your heart to them. Now imagine others in your life you'd like to share this healing energy with. And now imagine them before you and surround them with beautiful healing light coming from and through your heart. Now open your palms on your lap and imagine a globe of our earth between your hands. Now bring that globe of our world in front of your heart space and start sending the beautiful healing light from your heart all around the world, lingering where it's needed most. Know this healing light and energy will stay where you sent it. And knowing you made a difference, begin to bring yourself back. Wiggle your toes and fingers, shift your breathing, and open your eyes. And while we're in this energy, will you turn to the order of service and we'll say the prayer for spiritual healing out loud, and then send healing to those on the absentee healing list. Prayer for spiritual healing. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body and to restore me to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and power of God. And we send healing to Catlin, Kenny, Johnny, Andy, Susan, Brian, Steve, Jolie, Amy, John, Vic, Brenda, Kathy, Andrew, Kat, Joan, Erica, Sam, Sarah Grace, Julianne, Anna, Arnie, Gary, Judy, Lucia, Linda P., Dick, Lori, Paul, Mary Oakley, Maggie, Megan, Andy, Lori, David, Kaylin Ray, Colleen, Jeanette, James G., Benjamin Joseph, and Melanie, right? And we know it is so, and we give our thanks and appreciation for this abundance of healing going out to each of these loved ones. Amen. I invite you to sing What a Wonderful World, and that is in your order of service also. The words are there.
Thanks, Irene. You know, I love the meditation, and I love because when we gather together, we really make a difference, and we really can, collect peaceful energy and send it out to our world. It makes a difference. So I now want to, we've come to the inspirational speaker part of our service, Mark Thomas, which it's so happy to have. I'm going to read you Mark's official bio. So, Mark Thomas is a native of Rockford, Illinois. Mark's early spiritual development came from his family, who were actively engaged in the United Methodist Church. After completing his Bachelor of Science degree in 1975 at the University of Illinois in Recreation and Parks Administration, Mark held the position of director of a 500-acre recreation and educational field campus. In 1982, Mark and his wife Elaine moved to Chautauqua County, New York. In 1988, Elaine and Mark, along with friends, the Panabiancos, founded Fellowships of the Spirit and the School of Healing and Prophecy. Also, during that time, Mark started a consulting and training business, which he successfully ran until 1997. In addition to business pursuits from 1992 to 97, Mark was elected and served as a town official, and then following that service, he was elected and served as Chautauqua County executive. After his elected service, Mark returned to his original career as the Western District Director of New York State Parks. From his office at Niagara Falls, he served as the administrator in charge of 40 state parks and parkways throughout Western New York. In 2018, Mark retired from full-time government service and is currently serving as an adjunct instructor for the University of Illinois. Over the years, Mark's desire for spiritual development has brought him to study Vedic, Buddhist, Taoist, and mystical Christian teachings with a variety of teachers, and writers from around the world. God, I almost got that wrong. He currently serves as pastor of Fellowships of the Spirit Church in Cassadaga, New York. Mark teaches classes in advanced meditation practices at the Fellowship School of Spiritual Healing and Prophecy and its graduates. Mark resides in New York, Chautauqua County. And I give you Mark Thomas.
Good evening. It is a pleasure to be back here with all of you again in this incredible space with a long history. And I'm really glad that Village of Williamsville preserved this facility for the public. Speaking of Williamsville, I'm speaking tonight on a woman who was a force of nature. That's my late wife, Elaine. You can't hear me? Well, I'm going to have this up a little higher. How's that? Is that better? Is that better? You can hear me better now? All right. Good. I'm speaking about my late wife, Elaine, who was from this village. She grew up here. She passed away a year and a couple months ago. And I thought this evening I want to talk about her. There's stories about my wife that some of you know some of those stories, but you don't know all of them. And I figured I'm going to talk a little bit about her tonight. And some of the things that she was focused on in her spiritual work. Elaine was born in 1949 in Brooklyn, New York. And little math you don't have to figure out. There's only 4 years between her birth and the end, or 5 years, the end of the Holocaust in Europe. She was born into a Jewish family. Falkowitz was their name. And if you were Jewish in the United States following the war, you knew that our government and the Catholic Church and a whole lot of others looked the other way while Jews were being exterminated in mass proportions during that war and before it. It was an uneasy time to be Jewish anywhere in the world. You didn't have to go too far back inside any of the Jewish families that Elaine grew up in and around to know that those whole generations were wiped off the face of the earth. It was a very uneasy time, a very unpleasant time, and a very scary time to be Jewish, even in the United States of America. Anti-Semitism was rank in Brooklyn, and it was rank here in Buffalo, New York. So much so, they needed to change their last name from a Jewish-sounding name to an Anglican-sounding name of Ferris, which many who knew her back then was Elaine Ferris. That's the environment that Elaine was born into. And I would tell you the temple here in Williamsville, where she got her early religious education, and amongst the families and the Jewish community here, there was great trepidation about the way they were dealt with here in this community as well. She was taught to be afraid of just about anything or anyone who wasn't Jewish. You can understand that based on what happened back then and what she was born into and what was still present in our country as well. So she had a lot of that ingrained in her at an early age. It was a constant theme in family discussions over meals. And when I met her later on, I got quite an education myself. You know, Elaine had this incredible capability, though, as a child, where the adults around her would say, I don't know where this kid gets all this. She's ahead of her age. She says stuff that the adults would go, where does she get this from? She had these capabilities early on that she later made manifest in her training and her teaching. Friends sought her out for guidance. She was one of those go-to kids at high school, back when Williamsville had one high school, not a couple of them. At 19, Elaine attended the 1969 Woodstock Festival. You think her parents were keen on that? Not terribly keen on that at all. But she went with a group of young ladies and had a marvelous experience at Woodstock. It was a life-changing experience for her. One night during that festival, a performer she went by the name Melanie, a folk singer out of New York City. She had everybody at a count of 10 light a candle, either a lighter or a match, whatever they had. And so she did this, had everybody count down 10, 9, 1, and those lights came up in that entire bowl of that Woodstock Festival, and it lit it up like bright daytime. And that moment changed Elaine Ferris for her rest of her life. At that moment, she left that festival after that moment and said, wow, what one light can do when it's all together and we work together. When we bring ourselves together, that we can create something special in this world. And we need to but we got to light our lights so that we work it with other folks. We can put a lot of light in this world. That was a life-changing moment for a 19-year-old kid who grew up in what I just described for you. You can make a difference. You can turn things around. So that fall, Elaine, much to her parents' chagrin, left college, didn't go back for the fall term. Another great thing for her parents, who were not at all pleased with that move, since education was a high priority in the family. She went to Tucson, Arizona, and spent the fall with friends, and then came back in the middle of winter wondering, what am I doing back here in Western New York in the winter? I could be down in Tucson. And she said, no, I need to go back home. I'm feeling called back home. She returned, and she heard about this medium here in the city of Buffalo named Edith Sandy Wendling, Reverend Edith Sandy Wendling. So for a reading with Reverend Wendling. And when they got done, she was so impressed. She said, where do you go to learn what you do, Reverend Wendling? She said, well, in my classes, you can learn it. So she started going to the classes. Another major turning point for Elaine. Because through her education, if you will, with Reverend Wendling, she found the direction her life needed to go in. Her calling was evident. Reverend Wendling had started meditating in the parlors in England of a family, little-known family, Arthur Conan Doyle. You ever heard of him? Yeah. She started learning spiritualism at their home. Lady Doyle was a trance medium, and she would go and as a young child with her older sister, and they would sit in meditation with the Doyles. And she learned, Reverend Wendling learned her profession, her vocation through that means. She then took that spiritual lineage she gained from the Doyles and brought it to Canada and then to Western New York, where she lived the rest of her life and lived to be 100 years old. I had the pleasure of meeting her on a couple occasions, and she, too, was a force of nature. She wasn't even 5 foot tall, but she had packed a lot of dynamite. She was a force to deal with. Elaine studied with Reverend Wendling and at John Carlson Memorial Spiritual Church, the seminary there. She went back to college. She got her teaching degree and a master's degree in counseling as well. And at John Carlson and also in her summers in Lilydale, she continued to develop her capacity as a medium and a healer. One day when Elaine used to go to Reverend Wendling's home and help her with correspondence regularly, and was her assistant pastor for a number of years there. And one day, while they were doing that work together, Reverend Wendling, who was a very staid British lady, Elaine looked over at her and saw tears in her eyes. She said, "Reverend, what's wrong?" She said, "I just remembered a conversation I had had with my teachers and guide in spirit that you would be coming along to carry my work forward." At the time, Elaine was kind of shocked, as you could imagine. She just thought she was there helping out, and being involved with the church. But what ended up happening was she became assistant pastor, and she worked at the church for a number of years. But through time, she really knew that she needed to move beyond the church at John Carlson and get off on her own and teach on her own. She left the pastorship behind. Elaine needed to forge her way as a teacher. She was also a teacher at the time at Lakeshore Schools District. She taught readings. She was a reading specialist. And soon she left that behind and thought, well, I'm going to go whole hog and be a medium and teacher of the spiritual work and try to do it all myself. And she found out how difficult that was pretty quickly to do that. So that's when this redheaded guy showed up in her life. And we had a lot of good conversations about the work she wanted to do and where she wanted to go with it. And I heard her out and I said, "How many years have you been studying this work?" "Oh, about 12, 13. And I said, "That's too long. Way too long. Modern learning methods need to be brought to the table so that people can learn these things much faster than just sitting in a dark room and hopefully getting it by osmosis," which was the old school teaching method. So we spent the next 5 years studying all kinds of alternative learning methods that could be applied to teaching intuitive development, mediumship development, spiritual healing, all those kinds of things. We came up with a model that in 1987, we ended up creating a course now called Spiritual Insight Training, and we've been doing that ever since. One of the things that was so important and people didn't realize, unless they studied with her, was that one of her biggest things that she drove home to everybody was these intuitive abilities, we all have it. But we live in a culture that shunts it, that pushes it down and celebrates the rational, the cognitive, all of those kinds of things. And we don't learn how to, she would say, you don't know how to learn in our culture how to exercise those intuitive muscles. So they go flaccid. We don't work with them very much, so we don't express well with them, or we don't trust them, or we don't think they have any value. And she said, "That's no way to deal with your birthright." She didn't want to draw attention to herself. It was about, since we all have this, it's about teaching anybody and everybody how to get to it. And that's what she focused her life upon. It's your birthright. Claim it, was something she said quite often. She also rejected a whole lot of folks that came at her over the years to turn her into a celebrity medium. And as soon as they came at her, she was like, "Get away from me. It's not who I am. It's not what I'm about." And it totally goes against my message that we all have these abilities. It's not to be about celebrity. It's to be about healing. It's about uplifting. It's about bringing people to their own birthright. And that's where she dedicated her efforts. School that she started is in its 36th year. The torch that Reverend Wendling passed to Elaine has now been handed to Angie and to Tom Kratzley and the faculty of the school. The lineage that she leaves behind is old. It goes way back into England. The methods are current. The effects are rippling out all over our country by the people she has taught how to not only do the work of mediumship or use their intuition on a daily basis, but to use it well for good for others, to be of inspiration, to be of healing. And that's the legacy that Elaine and Reverend Wendling left for those who remain. So from this talk this evening, I would encourage you to take this away tonight, that your intuitive gifts are your birthright. Claim it. Another is one light, along with many, can create something special in this world. And the third was I'll leave with you, is another conversation that she and the Reverend had, and when the Reverend Wendling was helping her get over those fears from her childhood. She said to Elaine one day at her home, "There's no place for fear in this work. There's no place for fear in this work. When you're doing God's work, when you're doing the work of selfless service for others, you need fear nothing. You just need to love. And when you're loving, you are not fearing." So I share these stories with you this evening and these takeaways because I really want to celebrate the work that Elaine did. And we're a year out from her passing. She left an incredible mark in the world, but she didn't draw attention to herself. She was doing a work that was not making widgets. She was doing service. She was ministering to people all over the place, but it was never about her. It was about the work and how she could bring capabilities to us all. And for that, that's a good life. It's a full life and a well-lived life. And I'm glad that I had that 40 years with that special lady. Thank you for hearing my stories this evening. And God bless.
Thank you for those tender words. Mark, thank you so much. moving and filling us in on more of that precious history of both of those ladies. All right, thank you. It's now our collection time, and a place of worship is grown on love and strong intention. We ask for your support as we strive to grow in love and understanding. As the baskets are passed, we invite you to offer both your spiritual and your monetary blessings. So you start from the back. Thank you. And as ushers are doing that, I invite the congregation to sing "Let It Be." Such enthusiasm in that song, isn't it? They put their passion into it. All right. So thank you. And I want to say we are grateful for these gifts. May their blessings grow as this place grows in faith, in service, and in the healing power of love. So thank you. God bless. There we are. Here we are. So I'm shifting right into announcements. So this is for this month, March, and I'm going to be mentioning some classes that are going to be going on during the summer as well. There is guided intuitive development circle with you can join Angie app online for a guided circle every other Tuesday at 7 p.m. Each circle will begin with a guided meditation followed by a lesson to help you connect deeply to your intuitive, natural abilities. Then you practice what you've learned together. Mark mentioned this. There is a combined spiritual insight training later this month, March 21st through 24th, and it offers both parts 1 and 2 over 4 days. This spiritual retreat combines learning about meditation, healing, and developing your intuition. It's available 3 other times this year, and it'll be in July, August, or September. Okay. Other classes coming up ahead are a Past Lives workshop with Angie Yap in person and on Zoom. That's Saturday, April 27th. Become a Medical Intuitive with Tina Zion, June 21st through 23rd. Another one is Fundamentals of Sound Bone Healing with Kirk Jones, July 27th through 28th. And Centering Down, a weekend meditation retreat with tonight's speaker, Mark Thomas, September 27th through 29th. For more information about any of these classes, as well as others, sign on to Fellowships of the Spirit's website and look for events. You'll find more details. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, all right. Thank you. So I'm going to turn the rest of this service over to Reverend Angie Yap for the message portion. Thank you.